Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact
the
Radio.
truth.
We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here today, as always. Let's get into what's going on. Today's the 2nd of April. Right here, so we see that just like yesterday, we have the Taurus moon. And we have the Aries sun. Just like yesterday, we have fire and we have earth. The fire is the ideas, the earth is the practical or the form of things. And so today we're looking to help ourselves understand those two energies. The ideas, Aries, and remember, we've been working with that for the last couple weeks, another couple weeks yet till we move into the next sign. So this is the beginning phase, the zodiac starts with Aries, and it moves around. So we're at the beginning, springtime, and then we got the Taurus, which is telling us, look to the practical things, look to the way in which we connect that of the spirit to the physical. Now, not everybody who's Taurus, is thinking in those terms, but ultimately that's what it's all about. That's what all of these signs are about. It's how we connect ourselves with spirit, how we connect with something bigger than ourselves out there energetically. And as far as triangles or squares, we see that we have one coming up later tonight. And this is a trine between Mercury and Saturn. Saturn is, key word there is the discipline. It's the planet of discipline. It's the administrative intelligence. It is the energy or the idea that what we put out is eventually taken out and recycled. And when it's recycled, it's rebirthed into another form of energy. Not necessarily different than what it was, just an upgrade, the next higher evolution of that energy. So that's what's going on later. So there's a positive aspect between Mercury, our communication, and the discipline in which we use our communication. So we'll see later tonight how that plays out. Okay, in our world, looking up at the sky tonight, we've got the crescent moon below Pleiades, Aldebaran, and the V-shaped Hades. Here's what we're looking at here. There's our moon. There's the Pleiades. Aldebaran. Alright, so that's what you're going to look at as you're looking into the sky tonight. Current moon phase is at 10%, making its way up to the full moon. The Mayan Oracle, we're at an 11-tone day. 11 tones are the tones of dissolution, or called the spectral tones of liberation. The idea with the 11 is dissolving, like when you take salt or sugar and drop it in water and you dissolve that in. The sweetness or the sourness of whichever one it is makes that water taste like it, so it expands, it becomes more than it is. I like to think of it like in Star Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Darth Vader, if you strike me down, I'll become even more powerful than before. Well, that's the same idea, because when he got struck down, what happened? He didn't die, he was just more. Okay, so today we have that 11 day. We're dissolving to become more. And we have the wizard, which is about timelessness. So we're dissolving to understand the idea of timelessness. And all of this, part of the seed. So we're understanding the timelessness of the ideas that we plant and how they grow and eventually we allow those ideas to dissolve into becoming what they're supposed to be. Right? Now, the phrase for today is, I dissolve in order to enchant, releasing receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. And we go down here and we can see where we're at. We've got one more day left of these galactic activation portal days, or days in which the energies intersect from one direction to the other. So we've got 10 in a row. We're almost to the end of those. Tomorrow's will be the last. Over at space weather, our solar wind currently is just a hair under 400. It's 399.3 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is in the quiet range between a 1 and a 3. Coronal hole is not really much there to be noticing. M class flare 40%, X class 5, and our geomagnetic storm activity at 60% severe in the high latitudes, but that's really tapering off in the next 24 to 48 hours. So what's going on there? We do have this one notice here, waiting for CMEs. It says that arriving a little later than expected. At least 3 CMEs are still en route to Earth. NOAA forecasters expecting. Numerology for today is number 4. Here's how we arrived at the number 4. Month 4, day 2, year 2014. Okay. 4 plus 2 plus 7 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. That is how we arrived at 4. 4 is the number of order. It's the number of Aries. It's the number of the Emperor. Okay. All of these ideas are in synchronicity because we are in the time of Aries. Okay, we can see here 4 is disciplined, strong, stable, pragmatic. Otherwise, take the flip side of that, lack of imagination or emotions, lack of empathy. They don't put much in their appearance, awkward, and so on. So we have one which is organization and one which is the flip side of that organization. Okay, and then remember on the cards, tarot cards, the Emperor, card number 4, Hebrew letter on this, Hey, is he who sets in order. Okay, so it's all about setting things in order. Now with these numbers, there's only 9 numbers, 1 through 9, and so every day you're hearing a repeat. And it's not like I'm trying to be a broken record. It's every day there's continue on. Until we leave this place, we're still going to be experiencing whatever this is that's part of this energetic web that we're in. So knowing these numbers, it's just a matter of once you understand them, then you just are able to utilize that information from time to time. It's like once you read a map, the first time you see the map, you understand it basically to get where you have to go. But as you look at the map more and more, you're able to actually know the cities in between and know a lot more details about what's going on. Same thing with all of these numbers, with the numerology, and with all of the esoteric sciences. The more you work with them, the more you're going to understand the deeper meanings, because there's always deeper meanings. That's the idea. You've heard the term initiation. Initiation is a term that is used for those who are initiated into the secret meanings of things. Mystery schools have initiations. Different organizations have initiations. Initiation is teaching you something about that organization, some meaning that isn't normally known to the public. The public sees it as one thing, but those who are initiated into the meaning understand a deeper meaning. And then in different organizations and societies, as you evolve through the different levels or the hierarchies of whatever the organization are, there are deeper meanings to those energies and ideas that are understood and expressed. And so that's how information is passed along and has been passed along throughout history, through word of mouth, through understanding deeper meanings of things. And the reason for this was, as now, in the past, there have been times where putting out certain information might not be good for one's health. Not in terms that the information is hurting their health, but in putting the information out, somebody who was in power, the leaders back then, they didn't like this information going out, and so they might go out and they might kill the person who put this information out. Almost similar to what we do today, but the idea has led to a number of ways in which to hide the information. Gematria is one system the Bible uses over and over and over. It's a system of replacing words with other words, because in the Gematria system, all letters have numbers, and you can add the numbers up of the words that make up the word, the letters that make up the word, and you come up with a number value. These ideas of these number values and what we learn are all very, very important to understanding how we got to where we are from where we were. And as they put this information in code, it protected themselves so that they could put the information out while not having to worry that they were going to be killed or what have you because somebody didn't like what they had to say. They hid it in there. So the idea of being initiated into the mystery of what the deeper meanings were, really took on an importance as these mystery schools all evolved and continued to share their wisdom. Okay? So we could see the battle of light and dark has been going on for a long while, those trying to suppress wisdom, those who are trying to keep it alive. That will get us started. UFO news is up next. Let's do it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today's UFO news starts off with a trip to the Empire State Building. And we're going to go back in time because this happened in 1960. So it was a few days after the 4th of July in 1960, the day a UFO circled the Empire State Building. Tom was a broadcast engineer in New York City. He worked on the 16th floor of a building on the west 50th 51st Street next to the Taft Hotel. Tom says he first noticed the object simply as a black dot in the sky coming from the southwest to a northeasterly course. Of course, Tom was puzzled by what he was watching for nearly 10 minutes. Then a colleague in an adjoining studio area hollered, "What the hell is that thing?" The two men watched with great interest as the black object drew closer while seeming to maintain altitude. Tom tells us the object itself was spherical, and it was flat black with no windows. It was about 16 feet tall and not quite as wide. It had winglets that sloped down from the middle, as it also sloped up from the middle. The object undulated from side to side at a constant rate throughout, about 20 or so degrees one way and then tilted the same the other direction. The object reduced its speed and began to slowly circle the Empire State Building at a distance of perhaps 20 feet from the windows on the 100th floor. By this time, Tom was being joined by other broadcast engineers as they watched in awe at the scene playing out a mere 16 blocks away in the 34th Street of the Empire State Building. Tom tells us that a colleague, telephone engineer staffing the transmitter site at the Empire State Building, but folks there could see nothing of the object that was circling the skyscraper. Back on the 51st Street location, more than 20 broadcasting engineers and news staff had gathered, including director of news for the Mutual Radio Network, all of them witnessing this incredible event until the object leisurely left the area, returning on the path where it came from. The particular thing that occurred wasn't the sighting of the UFO, but rather the lack of reporting of the event. In a room full of broadcast news professionals, the event was never publicly reported. Tom doesn't tell us why this happened. In fact, Tom only reported this event in recent years to MUFON. He does tell us that not long ago he saw a program on cable network television that showed a UFO filmed near a building in Mexico. What rattled him was that the UFO in Mexico was identical to the one that he and his colleagues observed on that hot July afternoon 54 years ago. I realize this is a most strange sighting, especially since people only feet away from it were looking through a window saw nothing. Tom explained. It remains relatively fresh in his memory. All right, and of course, this goes to the idea of what I was talking about, the suppression. Why would there be a room full of broadcasters, more than 20, and none of them said a thing? Probably because many of them were afraid that if they said something, they would be ridiculed and would lose their jobs. World Bank executive says ET controls money and religion. This comes from Educating Humanity. It Seems baffling that such a high-level executive of the World Bank would make such an outlandish statement, but Karen Hudd's testimony should at least be considered when attempting to put the entire ET puzzle together. While working for the World Bank as a member of their legal team, Hudd's uncovered so much corruption that she could no longer keep quiet. She followed the proper channels to report her findings, going first to the organization's evaluation department and county directors, and then to the U.S. Department of Treasury and even the United States Congress. All of her requests were ignored, and in some cases completely covered up. She did what any honest person would do. She went public. Suffice to say, she received the typical treatment you'd expect for a whistleblower. Karen Hudd has been making a lot of noise lately, and she recently said something she never said before. She said that a second species on Earth controls money and religion. Many people who have held positions to know things that the rest of us might not know have made some very shocking statements lately. For example, Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Minister of National Defense, recently said that there are at least 4 known alien species that have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. You can read more in his report here. Says, I'm aware that just because somebody says something does not mean that it's true, no matter what their background. At the same time, what she says corroborates with a lot of ancient historical facts and modern-day disclosures of other strange phenomena, like UFOs, secret societies, and more. For someone like this to gain credibility as a World Bank whistleblower and then all of a sudden make a comment like this is quite shocking. Although in her interview she did discredit the idea that extraterrestrials on the planet, which I definitely agree with. Although in her interview she did discredit the ideas of extraterrestrials, which the author here disagrees with. There's an enormous amount of evidence out there to suggest that we are not alone. We have indeed been visited. To read more, there's another link there. And goes on to say Karen held her senior position at the World Bank for 12 years before deciding to blow the whistle on the World Bank and the corruption within it. She studies law at Yale Law School and economics at the University of Amsterdam. She worked in the U.S. Export-Import Bank of the U.S. from 1980 to 85 and in the legal department of the World Bank from 86 to 2007. She established the Non-Government Organizational Committee of the International Law Section of the American Bar Association and the Committee on Multilateralism and the Accountability of International Operations of the American Branch of the International Law Association. These are shocking statements that come shortly after gaining attention for being a credible World Bank whistleblower, stating that the world is in a currency war, that the Federal Reserve continues to print money like crazy, and if it keeps going at the pace they are on, other countries will no longer accept this currency. She has been exposing criminal corruption that takes place at the highest levels of financial institutions. In 1999, she reported the corrupt takeover of the second largest bank in the Philippines. She exposed the collusion that takes place between financial institutions, various governments, and much more. Before you brush off what she has to say, keep in mind that reality of many strange phenomena has a large amount of proof to back it up. Okay, and I've got a couple videos here for you to watch. So with this one here is over an hour long. There she is. And here's one that's 8 minutes long. She's on RT. So a couple links to check out more of her story. Here we have Filer's Files. Question here is, do aliens or demons represent a threat? The Filer Research Institute feels the scientific study of UFOs is for the benefit of humankind and is an important endeavor. The weekly intelligent report provides you with information on the latest sightings and UFO news that you need to understand the world situation. In special reports this week, files cover, do aliens or demons represent a threat? Are you the complete victor? UFO slides found in documents leaked by Edward Snowden, Pacific Ocean fish contamination, and the moon landing. Says unidentified aerial phenomena reported over Alabama. Okay, so let's go down to this article here. Many people adore alien visitors, but many detest them. Here are some great UFO quotes that shed light on the deceptive nature of the alien presence. Attending my first UFO lecture with Fortean researcher John A. Keel on UFOs, who wrote the book Operation Trojan Horse, I had a chance to talk with him privately. I asked John, who are the aliens flying UFOs? He simply explained that after years of research he had come to the conclusion that they were demons. Many researchers have come to similar conclusions. Personally, I suggest, though, that some aliens may be demons. Many seem to be benevolent, more like the concept of angels. At least they choose to help and heal certain people. We can assume the extraterrestrials come from different planets with different missions and motivations. A member of the Screenwriters Guild, Keel reportedly wrote scripts for Get Smart, The Monkeys, and Lost in Space. In 1967, Keel popularized the term Men in Black in an article for the adventure magazine Saga entitled UFO Agents of Terror. According to Keel, he initially sought to explain UFOs as extraterrestrial visitations, but later abandoned this hypothesis. His third book, UFOs, Operation Trojan Horse, published in 1970, linked UFOs to supernatural concepts. Keel used the term ultra-terrestrials to describe UFO occupants he believed to be non-human entities capable of taking form that they want. In his 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, was Keel's account of the investigation into sightings in West Virginia of a huge winged creature called the Mothman. The book combines Keel's accounts of receiving strange phone calls with reports of mutilated pets and culminates with the December 15, 1967 collapse of the Silver Bridge across the Ohio River. The book was widely popularized in the 2000 film of the same name starring Richard Gere. Keel in his book Operation Trojan Horse explains that daemon or fiend is a supernatural, often malevolent being prevalent in religion, occultism, literature, fiction, mythology, and folklore. In ancient Near Eastern religions as well as in the Abrahamic traditions, including ancient and medieval Christian demonology, a demon is considered an unclean spirit, sometimes a fallen angel, a spirit of a deceased human, or a spirit of unknown type which may cause demonic possession, calling for an exorcism. A demon is a spiritual entity that may be conjured or controlled. Demonology is not just another crackpotology. Thousands of books have been written on the subject. The manifestations and the occurrences described in the imposing literature, they are similar, if not entirely identical, to the UFO phenomenon itself. The devil and his demons can manifest themselves in almost any form and can physically imitate anything from angels to flying monsters with glowing eyes. Strange objects and entities materialize and dematerialize in these stories just as the UFOs and their splendid occupants appear and disappear, walk through walls, and perform other supernatural feats. The UFO manifestations seem to be, by large, merely minor variations of the age-old demological phenomena. It says, note, a large number of exorcisms are being conducted all over the world by priests of the Catholic Church and other religions. I have witnessed several exorcisms, and they certainly appear very real. Alright, well, we have a lot more into this article. So, check it out and see what you think about that. But it's a good question, you know. Good question to know, who are these occupants of these ships? Angels, aliens, demons. And here's one more piece. This comes to us from Norio Hayakawa. He's a researcher. You may have heard him on the show here as a guest, talking about Dulce, New Mexico, and his findings there. Here's an article entitled UFOs, the Grand Deception and End-Time Prophetic Fantasy. It says, by Norio Hayakawa, written in the early 90s when I was still wild and fanatical. One of the main characteristics of America's so-called neoconservative movement, with the backing of fundamentalist evangelical Christians, is their total support of Israel, through the belief that contemporary Israel is the fulfillment of biblical prophecies, and that the U.S. must continue to support the state of Israel no matter what. A large number of these American fundamentalist evangelical Christians, therefore, believe that we are living in the end-time period of God's prophetic calendar. It is of utmost importance to point out that some of the end-time scenarios are believed by the supporters of this view. Here is the typical scenario of the prophetic events to come, as outlined by those Christians who seem to hold on to the so-called premillennial dispositionist pre-tribulation viewpoints. Got the Ezekiel scenario. They seem to believe that this could easily begin with the escalation of the Middle East conflict involving Israel. They seem to believe that Iran and Syria will play a major initial role in this scenario. They say that an Ezekiel 38 scenario includes the attempted invasion into Israel by all Islamic forces, and will conclude with the miraculous Israeli victory. They believe that they suggest in the Bible it will take 7 years to bury the dead from the unprecedented conflagration appearance of the Antichrist. According to their belief, the Ezekiel 38 scenario will include with the mysterious appearance of the Antichrist, who will create a peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinians. Rapture. They say that Ezekiel 38 scenario could also conclude with the simultaneous mysterious disappearance of millions of people from the earth, which will result in total chaos, confusion, and fear among the global populace. This, they say, is the rapture. It will be a mysterious mass evacuation of the believers to meet the Lord in midair. In other words, the so-called born-again believers will be translated from one side to the other, from the earth's plane to the heavenly dimension, and will meet Jesus in midair. They say that the rapture, from Latin raptare, to snatch away, as in the eagle snatching away her baby when danger comes and taking it away to a safer location, is a supernatural event clearly suggested in the Bible that has not happened yet in history of mankind, but will be certain to happen according to most of these pre-tribulationist, dispensationalist believers. It will be an inexplicable, instantaneous disintegration of all atomic particles of each of our cells, of our tissues. For example, instant conversion of our physical bodies into a spiritual celestial body, which will be swooshed up into the midair. In other words, they believe that in the twinkling of an eye, our physical bodies will go through mysterious, sudden transmorphigation and will be lifted up to meet the Lord in midair. And we have the Antichrist succeeds in calming down the stunned, confused. There's another one, and then it says, let's see. So basically, by the way, when Antichrist appears in the global emergency TV news conference, many of the fundamentalist Christians say that he would calm down the frightened people of the earth with his ingenuous, well-calculated explanation regarding the sudden disappearance of millions of people from this earth. This could be when the UFOs are brought up. The Antichrist could use some type of extraterrestrial intervention explanation. By the way, in the U.S., the majority of the so-called fundamentalist evangelical Christians hold on to the viewpoint that somehow the UFO phenomena is satanic or diabolical, or at least 1/3 of all angelic entities in the entire cosmos are fallen entities which are malevolent, while 2/3 of the angelic entities in the cosmos are of benevolent kind. It is the malevolent fallen entities who are posing as advanced extraterrestrial aliens and are presently deceiving a portion of the world's populace. These groups seem to believe that UFOs will play a major role in the future of biblical prophecies. Some theorists even believe that if a global government of some sorts is set up intentionally in the future, there are several ways to accomplish it. Okay? So, interesting theories. It's certainly something that's been talked about for a while. What are these beings on these ships? Well, you and I know and understand there are certainly a lot of fear ideas out there that, as you read and heard about, that these are demons and bad aliens, and that may be. But we also have stories of good aliens, good beings that are out there. Many more of those stories and much information coming down. I think the ones we need to be concerned with are the ones that are already here, that we hear about. The ones that we do hear stories about are here influencing our world religions and world governments. It's not the first time that this story has been about. It's been a long history on this planet of mind control. I guess beings from these other worlds realize and understand that humankind are really, well, very susceptible to thought. And so the Jedi mind trick is used very well on most humans. It seems to be something we need to pay attention to so we don't get caught up in it. Anyway, that is our UFO news. I'm going to jump away about 30 seconds, and I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Alright. Let's continue on. So this first piece here, this next piece, claim we found the Holy Grail, the cup which touched the lips of Jesus Christ. And here's a quote from Matthew 26, verse 27 through 29. Then he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many of the remission of sins. But I say to you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So here's an idea of what they think the cup looks like. It was shared with the disciples at the Last Supper, and just days later, St. Joseph of Arimathea used it to collect the blood and sweat of Jesus Christ as his grand uncle tended to him on the cross. When he was subsequently imprisoned and entombed for several years, Joseph reportedly sustained his life with its power by consuming fresh water and food from it until his release. At that point, it was reportedly transferred to a spectacular castle in a region called Corbenic, somewhere in modern-day England. The location of the castle itself has been veiled in secrecy and purportedly lost to history. But the legendary story didn't end there. The Knights Templar searched Europe and Arabia for it, as did the Nazis during the middle of the 20th century. Historians and treasure hunters of the world over have spent centuries looking for the Cup of Life, and today some 200 chalices lay claim to the title of the Holy Grail. But according to a new book titled Kings of the Grail, two researchers claim they have conclusive evidence that they have found the one and only true Holy Grail of Scripture. After a 3-year quest involving analysis from ancient documents, starting with Egyptian parchment that describes the Grail in detail, authors Margarita Torres and Jose Manuel Ortega de Rio says there is absolutely no doubt that the cup which touched the lips of Jesus Christ has been identified. Their research led them to a museum in San Isidro Basilica in the northwestern Spanish city of Leon, where the cup has been on display in a small viewing room for years. Said the supposed Holy Grail was offered to King Ferdinand I, who was ruled between 1037 and 1065 as a peace offering by the head of the Muslim kingdom within Spain, the historian said. The cup, made of agate, gold, and onyx, is actually 2 goblets formed together, the authors claim. The artifact had been known until the last week of the goblet of the Infanta Dada Urraca, King Fernando I's daughter. With so many historical investigations making similar claims, evidence for the Infanta Dana Urraca being the Grail has yet been scrutinized by scholars, but Torres and Ortega de Rio are certain they have found the treasure of the ages. It is said that those who drink from the Grail can obtain eternal life. Cites Indiana Jones as the movie in which this idea was depicted in. It says whether the mythical vessel for Christ's blood has actually been found, or that it holds special powers such as those used to sustain Joseph's life during his imprisonment, is left to one's imagination. But that a hunt for the treasure is still being actively pursued after 20 centuries is at very least intriguing. Okay, so cool. We shall undoubtedly hear more about that. So, all right. So today I thought it would be interesting to explore the Incas and Machu Picchu. So let's get started with this. I'm going to start off here. This is a website, National Geographic, the Inca Empire. Rising from obscurity to the heights of power, a succession of Andean rulers subdued kingdoms, sculpted mountains, and forged a mighty empire. On the remote Peruvian island of Taquil, in the middle of the great lake Titicaca, hundreds of people stand in silence at the plaza as a local Roman Catholic priest recites a prayer. Descended in part from the Inca colonists sent here more than 500 years ago, the inhabitants of Taquil keep the old ways. They wield brilliantly colored cloth, speak the traditional language of the Inca, and tend to their fields as they would have for centuries. On festival days, they gather in the plaza to dance to the sound of the wooden pipes and drums. Today, in a fine summer afternoon, I watch from the sideline as they celebrate the Fiesta of Santiago, or St. James. In Incan times, this would have been a festival of Il Papa, the Incan god of the lightning. As the prayers draw to a close, 4 men dressed in black raise a rustic wooden leader holding a painted statue of Santiago. Walking behind the priest in a small procession, the bearers carry the saint for all of the plaza to see, just as the Inca once shouldered the mummies of their revered kings. The names of those Inca rulers still resonate with power and ambition centuries after their demise. Viracocha Inca, meaning the great god ruler, Hiscar Inca, golden chair ruler, and Pachuta Inca Yucati, he who remakes the world. And remake the world they did, rising from obscurity in Peru's Cusco Valley during the 13th century. A royal Inca dynasty charmed, bribed, intimidated, or or conquered its rivals to create a world, the large pre-Columbian empire in the New World. So scholars long possessed few clues about the lives of Incan kings apart from their flattering histories that Inca nobles told soon after the arrival of Spanish conquistadors. The Inca had no system of hieroglyphic writing as the Maya did, and any portraits that the Inca artists may have made of their rulers were lost. The royal palaces of Cusco, the Inca capital, fell swiftly to the European conquerors, and a new Spanish colonial city rose in their ruins, burying or obliterating the Inca past. In more recent times, civil unrest broke out in the Peruvian Andes. In the early 80s, a few archaeologists ventured into the Inca heartland for more than a decade. Now archaeologists are making up for lost time. Combing rugged mountain slopes near Cusco, they are discovering thousands of previously unknown sites, shedding new light on the origins of the Inca dynasty, gleaning clues from colonial documents. They are relocating to the lost estates of Inca rulers and examining complex upstairs and downstairs lives of imperial households. And on the frontiers of lost empire, they are piecing together dramatic evidence for the wars Inca kings fought and the psychological battles they waged to forge dozens of fractious ethnic groups into a united realm. Their extraordinary ability to triumph on the battlefield and to build a civilization brick by brick sent a clear message, says Dennis Alkburn, an archaeologist at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. I think they were saying, we are the most powerful people in the world, so don't even think of messing with us. Right? This is one site. This is an example of what they created. Now we're going to jump from there. Here's another one. 10 interesting facts about Machu Picchu. So the first Westerner credited with unveiling Machu Picchu to the outside world is Hiram Bingham, was said to have been looking for the lost Inca site in Wilcambama when he first led up the slopes to the then overgrown ruins. Recently accepted history that Bingham was the first outsider to lay eyes on Machu Picchu has been challenged, and several candidates put forward the strongest possible contender is German engineer Augusto Bern, to have been to the site 40 years prior to the American. When Bingham endeavored to reclaim the site from the encroaching jungle, he uncovered treasure trove of artifacts that he took with him to Yale University, including mummies, bones, ceramics, and precious metals. The most popular way to approach the site is the Inca Trail Trek. A 3-day trek reaches a lung-squeezing height of 4,214 meters at its highest, and there are several sections of original Inca stone paths along the way. Each year there is a race along Inca Trail, which is 26 miles. It's pretty much a marathon. The current record is 3 hours and 26 minutes. Many of the porters will sleep with a shiny metal object or mirror beneath them when on the trail. They believe it deflects spirits coming up through the earth when whisking them away. Ask any guide or porter and they will tell you that sometime that they experienced the feeling of being pulled out of their tents by spirits of the past. 7. A popular ambition of the trek is to arrive in the fabled Sun Gate in time for sunrise. However, this is more of a sun ruse, as the high mountains block most of the view at sunrise. At the ruins themselves, there are rules of entrance. One of these lesser known is that you do not enter dressed in the traditional costume of another country. So anyone thinking of going dressed in your kit and sportman, your kimono or Swiss milkmaid outfit should think again. 9. The most expensive Bollywood film ever made, Andorhan, released in 2010, was partly shot on location at Machu Picchu. It features an ex-Miss World, and the starring actress is one of a few films given permission to film in this ruins. And a few years ago, 2 spectacular bears of Paddington fame were seen wandering the ruins alongside throngs of visitors. Spectacled bears are occasionally spotted in the area, but it's rare to see them in the ruins themselves. Okay, moving on from here. This is a little history of Machu Picchu. We all know Machu Picchu is the lost Incan city, but why is it called lost? There are other cities built by the Inca civilization. Why are they not called lost? Have you thought about it? I will discuss all in detail of Machu Picchu on this history on this page. I hope you read my writings before you go to visit Machu Picchu. Okay, it says Henry Bingham wrote books in Machu Picchu after discovery, one of which was Lost City of the Incas. Since then, the name became popular. He renamed it as Lost City because he thought of the city was the last capital of the Inca, Vicambaba the Old, which was lost to Peruvian historians and could not be traced until 1960. Most important fact is that lost to the Spaniards too. This was why the city remained intact. While the Incan city were partly or fully developed by the Spaniards, they did not know about Machu Picchu, so it remained hidden for centuries until Hiram Bingham brought the city to the attention of the whole world. Okay, and here's the story of 1908 when Hiram Bingham appointed a delegate to the first Pan-American Scientific Congress at Santiago, Chile. At this tour, he visited Choqquequirau to search for Incan ruins. After his return, he spent a long time reading old Spanish chronicles and papers. He was trying to find out if the last two capital of Incas. When Marco II left Cusco, he started to live in Vitcos and continued his battle against the Spaniards from Vitcos. But after his death, Vitcos was abandoned, and a new place difficult to access and in between river and mountain was selected, which was Vicabamba la Vieja, or Vilcabamba the Old. Hiram Bingham read about Vitcos and Vilcabamba. Just like the Peruvian history, he was interested to find those cities. And obviously he did, which is why we're reading about it and know about it. Can move on, got a couple more here. This one is called the Incredible Incas. It's a site for kids. I figured this would be a good one because if it can be explained for kids, everyone will understand it. It said the Inca built thousands of well-paved roads, but they never invented the wheel. They lived high in the snow-capped Andes Mountains of South America. It was difficult to grow food, but the clever Inca found a way. Welcome to the Inca Empire. Okay, and we can see all these links that are here. And if we take a look here at the Machu Picchu link, about 100 years ago, archaeologists made an incredible find high in the Andes Mountains. They find an entire city that had not been destroyed by Spanish invaders. The forgotten city is named Machu Picchu. It is the huge tourist attraction in Peru today. Archaeologists found ruins of temples, palaces, fortresses, pottery, statues, and all kinds of artifacts. It was incredible. This find told archaeologists and scientists a great deal about the ancient Inca civilization. One of the most exciting finds was the first thing explorers found as they entered the forgotten city. It was Intihuatana. And Intihuatana was a pyramid built so the Inca could speak to their gods. Priests used the flat tops of the pyramid to conduct ceremonies. Archaeologists noted the palace balconies faced a flat rock at the top of the pyramid. They suspect this was done so nobles could watch the ceremonies from the comfort of a seat on their own balcony. Okay, and then what we have here is this Inca Trail, because this is something that, the Inca Trail is a walking route that leads through the mountains above the Urubamba River, following the course of the old Incan roadway leading to the city of Machu Picchu. The virtual Inca Trail has the following advantage. It doesn't take several days to complete. There are no flies. You don't have to start by climbing 2,000 meters, and so on. And you can click right here to go on this journey. And there's 4 pages here. The closest large town to the Incan Trail is Cusco, the old imperial Inca city, which was both the administrative and religious center of the Empire. Seized by the Spanish in 1533 after the murders of the Incan Huescar and Atahualpa. Many of the original Inca buildings were destroyed and their stone used to construct palaces and churches for the invaders. Much of the city was also burned during the rebellion of 1534. From Cusco, air-conditioned tourist trains are available to take visitors directly to Machu Picchu. To follow the Inca Trail, take the local train and get off at KM 88. This trail starts here. Okay? So, I'm going to leave that so you can take that journey, something fun to do. And this piece here, talk about synchronicity, after I had pulled up the stories of what I was going to talk about today. Here, there's this story over at Educating Humanity. Ties right in. Ancient Indian Cusco Temple of the Sun. Here's a video for you to watch. It's 7.5 minutes. The Coricancha in Cusco is believed by many archaeologists to be the first building that the Inca ever made. The problem with this theory is that it is also the finest they ever made. It is my belief that the building predates the Inca by thousands of years, made by the mysterious people called the Puanas or Viracochans. Okay? So check that out. That is all about the Incas. And there's a lot of information. I just briefed on it because there's a lot there. But check it out. Check it out. Check it out. See what you think. Alright. That brings us to this article here at In5D. You notice I put a lot of articles and information from their site. Very good site. Lots of spiritual information and energetic articles and things of this nature, as you are now aware. Moving from Light to Darkness is the title of this one. It says there are many changes happening upon the planet that is affecting each of you. Many of you feel the need to get things done. Many feel the impulse to move to a new location or are having difficulty finding your place in the work field. These are natural occurrences. Let these things flow through you and not get caught in the angst of the moment. Many of you are leaving the planet, dying in quick and sometimes unusual ways. A host of you are having emotional and mental issues arising as a result of repressed feelings of childhood memories. Hospitals are filling with those who have contracted diseases such as cancer and heart disorders. This is all part of the ascension process. For eons, we've been able to exercise free will and to make choices based on nothing more than wanting to have a new experience. These times are changing. The experiences that allowed us all to take place has now reached its end. It is similar to having a free pass to a carnival. You can go on any ride you choose, play at any of the games, sit in a kissing booth, and eat all the candied apples and hot dogs you desire. However, at midnight the carnival closes and you must return home. That is what is happening on Earth at this time. The carnival is closing and it is time to go home. These changes will affect many of you deeply and not very gracefully. As you look around, it seems others are barely affected. They still have good jobs, their homes, and plenty of money to spend on trivial things. You may feel jealous or upset. You have worked hard and feel undeserving of the difficulties in your life. Those who are faring these times may feel that they are better in some ways, especially in moral issues or because they feel more spiritual than others. Either way, you are about to learn that you are equal and that each of you, through your thoughts, words, actions, and emotions, have created your reality based on the belief codes you have accumulated. Judgment. This will be a hard lesson for many to learn, for you must take responsibility for all of your current issues. You will realize that every judgment you place on another has now come back to you as you experience others judging you. Every act of kindness you express will also come back to you. You receive them with gratitude or feeling unworthiness. Your financial situation is dependent on your feelings of inadequacy or blocking of abundance in various levels. Your relationships are a mirrored response to your ability to love others unconditionally. Those who love without judgment are able to receive the love of others without feelings of mistrust and misgivings. Those of you who find yourselves homeless or on the verge of losing all your worldly possessions will find deep within you lies belief codes attached to poverty issues. As you uncover these codes, it is wise not to be angry with yourself, simply to see what you have accumulated, bless the ability to see more clearly, and take steps to create the reality you desire. In the news, you'll hear stories of government cover-ups that affect every area of your life. You come to realize that your insurance companies, banking institutions, educational systems, and health industries have been designed to keep you under control of a few wealthy people who have the ultimate goal of world domination. This may sound like fantasy. However, read history books. Every generation had moguls with this goal. And why should your generation be different? Talks about the importance to keep your emotions under control, about maintaining positive thoughts and express gratitude. Release the dark energies so we don't have those bottled up in us. We deal with this and how we use our energy to create what we want. Last paragraph here, you have everything within you to create the world of your dreams. How much more effective will it be if you, who have a vision of heaven on earth, begin to work together co-creatively towards the common goal? Just as light overcomes darkness when a candle is lit, know that each light worker cancels out a huge number of those who work with the darkness. Exponentially, your creative power accelerates and offset what those in the dark realms are trying to achieve. Okay, so very good, very good. I think that last part is, very interesting. There's a lot of people in the world who are caught up in wanting to create darkness. And the thing that I don't understand is why they want to justify it so much. And they do. People will create the darkness and evil, and they will justify it just so they can make a buck. And I hear it all the time, and I hear good people justifying why that they need to have evil in the world. I'm a filmmaker is one of the things I do, and I've been to various festivals and events, filmmaking events, and the amount of horror movies that are out in the world is just mind-boggling. Why are there so many horror movies? Why are so many filmmakers obsessed with making horror movies? And you know what the reason is? Because it's a quick buck. So regardless of thinking about what energy they're putting into the world, you have a large number of filmmakers who choose to use their creative abilities to create nothing but horror images so they can make a quick buck. And that's kind of a backwards way of looking at things. I mean, maybe we need to go through that phase to get to the other side to realize what it is we create is so important. But I find that in music, the same thing happens, and in art, and in so many things. We bring these dark expressions into the world, and then we think that when bad things happen, it has no connection to this whatsoever. Come on. Of course it does. When you put an image up on a screen that people are watching, that image goes into their mind, into their subconscious. When a song is on a radio and it's talking about evil and dark things, that goes into subconscious. When you have celebrities that are out there, they're talking about how they are interested in dark demonic things and Satan worship. People who watch that follow suit. We have, a society that follows along. Simon Says, and people follow along with this, on and on and on. I think we really need to understand what we're creating in the world, and if we want to have a good world, we should create good things. And I was thinking the other day about how we live in a world and there's so many demons around us, and how it is that we only get these dark demonic entities that seem to be working with our world governments. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but think about it. When we have elections in this country and in other countries around the world, what is a common phrase you hear? That people are going to vote for the lesser of two evils. So basically, it is known that when you go into these times, all you're putting forth is evil, two evil beings, and you're going to choose on who's the lesser of the evil. Well, in what way, shape, or form can two evils create something positive? It can't. We need to rethink the way that we're doing things. We need to stop putting the lesser of two evils. We need to stop putting any evils in places of leadership. We need to look at things differently and understand what we're creating. And I know we all have it within us, and I know we can all make excuses of why we don't do this. But if we make the effort, I totally believe that our world would be a better place. And instead of having all of the problems we have over and over and over, we might find a more peaceful world as we find there are more peaceful thoughts coming out of us, as we are more responsible for what we are putting into the world. Now, does this mean that all these stories and music should eliminate the ideas of good and bad, dark and light? No, because these are two things in the world, and we've all had wonderful positive influences by understanding the lessons. But we need to keep in perspective what we're showing. Are we just looking at gratuitous violence for the sake of violence and mayhem, or is there a lesson, a story behind it? Just some thoughts to think about, things I think about quite often, and I've had a number of discussions, and anyway, just thought I'd share that. All right, let's get to our channeled message for today. This is Hilarion. There we go.
Hilarion.
March 30th to April 6th, 2014.
Beloved ones, the times that are before you are filled with many cosmic occurrences that will bring an even greater increase in the cleansing energies, and it is extremely important to stay attuned with the changes and stay grounded in your everyday lives. We call them cleansing energies, but what this energy downloading upon your planet really is in actuality is the divine feminine unconditional love energy. When those upon your planet are touched by this divine energy, it creates openings in all those areas of one's being that are still in need of healing and balancing. All old wounds are being brought to the surface to be finally healed and released. Many of these wounds were felt as trauma during childhood, and these were stored in the subconscious realms of the human psyche. As these are reawakened and brought to the surface into the conscious mind, it can create emotional difficulty, which depends to a large extent on each person's ability to face these traumas with the wisdom that has been gleaned in one's adult life, through adapting to life's experiences. All depends upon the ability of each person to be willing to look at these unresolved aspects from a time when they did not have much experience in dealing with the complexities of life upon their world. Each person brings their own unique perspective to each event that occurs in their personal world, and these events can be viewed from either a victim point of view or as a learning and valuable growth experience, which adds to the strengths and abilities that one has gained. Such is the way upon a planet that honors the free will of its inhabitants. If an individual chooses to look at events in their life from a victim viewpoint, then their life will give them more of what they choose to experience. On the other hand, if an individual chooses to look at an event in their life from a higher perspective, as valuable lessons learned and gained, life will reflect back to them all that they express in gratitude. These times are unique and special, however, for what many people are now in the midst of releasing and revisiting will not continue to cycle over and over again. There is coming a time when the force of love upon the planet will be so great that all old stubborn issues and traumas from the past will just fade from people's consciousness. This will help to facilitate a new way of being for all of humanity. There will no longer be an endless list of infractions that one individual has committed against another. There will only be acceptance and forgiveness, with people understanding that love erases all that went before. There will be a fresh start for everyone who chooses to remain on the planet, and it will be like a breath of fresh air in the hearts of all. The higher qualities of love will be manifest within all souls as they remember and reconnect to the divine spark within them. Much progress will come as humanity works together in cooperation and unified effort to create a new world, a better way of serving each other in order for the highest expression of divine potential to unfold for each individual. This was the original plan for the experience of life in a human body, to allow the divine essence of the One to have expression through each of its sparks, each spark unique, special, and evolving in amazing and wondrous ways. Through this diversity of experience, the One grows and expands. The gathering of the new and powerful energies, and integrating these into one's human operating system, while remaining fully grounded on Earth, is the next step for all and is already in progress. The changes start within each individual, within their bodies and within their consciousness, and as that which no longer serves a helpful purpose, is transmuted and eliminated, more light enters the auric field of each individual and the frequency level rises accordingly. This process assists those within their sphere of influence to also release and absorb more light. More light within each individual creates a greater field of light within the community, and this is what is happening as the changes continue. The light brings positive feelings of upliftment, joy, happiness, hope, optimism, and humanity will express these to their families and community members with greater ease. In due time the denser feelings and emotions will be no more, and humanity will not be hindered in their pursuit of experiencing life in a human body while developing their skills, talents, and abilities that they will wish to share with others, and this will enrich the life experience of everyone. The attunement of each individual with the higher aspects of their true essence brings many gifts to be shared with the world. These activities will bring more balance in Earth movements and weather patterns, and all will be in harmony and stability. Until next week. I am Hilarion.
Alright, very nice message. Again, positive message of what's ahead of us. Let's close our eyes for meditation today. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale. Imagine yourself walking down a path. You're walking down a path, and as you walk down this path, you see the path goes downhill. And keep following the path downhill until it enters a cave. And there in this cave, You experience the darkness, the silence. And as you walk through the cave, there are all sorts of thoughts and ideas and fears that come to mind. And we realize that the thoughts and these fears come to mind not because they are our original idea of the situation, but because they've been programmed into us through the things that we see, through the things that we hear, through the things that we read, and on and on. And we realize that life has some very strange addiction to the darkness and the evilness. Yet the same strange addiction is the one thing we all want to overcome, to experience the love, the light, the goodness. So we imagine ourselves in that dark space, going inside ourselves and finding that light, that spark of divinity, and we allow that light to shine brighter. And as it shines brighter, our body begins to glow. And the body glows, and as it does so, this cave begins to become light, filled with light. There is no longer any darkness, and we see that there is nothing in the cave to be concerned about, just a passage from one place to the next. So we exit the cave out into the world, and as we walk along the path, and in the daylight, we realize that any given time, light or dark is our choice. That with our minds, we have the ability to create whatever it is we wish to create. And when we look at the situations in our life, we realize that we are responsible for those situations. We can change them. In order to do so, we go into our mind and we activate the higher reaches, places of our mind to make these changes. In some of the instances, as we go, we imagine walking into a control room. And we look at the controls and we see cobwebs and dust because it hasn't necessarily been used in a while. So we go in, we clear out all the dust and cobwebs, and we begin to work the controls to control our own mind, our own being. And as we do, we find that our natural tendency is to shine the light, express the positive, and that all other things of negativity, doubts, and fears are only learned behaviors that come as we find ourselves separated from what we believe and know to be the source of all life. And as we look at this separation, we realize that that is even an illusion, for we have never been separated from Source. We've only been led to believe that we have, and our minds, being as powerful as they are, have either affirmed or denied this opportunity or possibility. So as we think positively about where we want to go and what we want to do, we realize that shining the light into the dark is our true nature. So we let our light shine bright as we walk into the world. We let our subconscious mind continue on this journey through the day, just shining bright that light. And we're going to bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. And that's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. As always, please check out the links. There's a lot more information that was there. I only touched on some of it. There's some good videos to watch. And just go into the world today and shine your light. Let it shine as bright as it can and dissipate all the darkness around you. Imagine if we all did this. Imagine what the world would be. It'd be a pretty awesome place, wouldn't it? Let's make it that way, and we'll just start. Each one of us, one at a time, Keep shining. I'll keep shining. And we'll reconvene tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.